I hate to even start getting into a defense of George Washington because I know people will come back with, but Benjamin Franklin was a member of the Hellfire Club in England and France, and he was a member of the Illuminati. Yes, I've said that many times. Most people are aware of that because for more than a decade we've been covering it here. There was Illuminati infiltration of our government. Washington writes about that his last year as the president, saying we must stop these people. Yes, he was a Mason. That doesn't mean all Masons were members of the Illuminati. The Illuminati used their secret society system to take over. And there were a lot of people in Europe who were angry at the monarchs, tired of the corruption, tired of the church's corruption, tired of the inquisitors. And so if you read the Illuminati documents in Germany, one of their letter carriers got struck by lightning. That's how the conspiracy was made public. It said, oh, we're manipulating all these good men. The best people in society are now working with us. You know, but they don't know that we plan to take over government and put ourselves in the thrones. You see, so it was a sophisticated system. You had a rebellion against tyranny happening, so of course corrupt scammers went in and tried to take that over. And of course, Benjamin Franklin, being the U.S. ambassador to France, then the ambassador to England, of course he was going to be involved in all these intrigues. And that's what Washington later discovered years later and put an end to. And there's clear evidence that he was bled to death. He was murdered by one of their operatives who was an attending physician. And there's a whole other subject there. The issue is the Bill of Rights and Constitution is good. The globalists today are getting rid of it. And we need to get our Bill of Rights and Constitution back, regardless. But it's not fair to use these letters and just say where he says, yes, I'm satisfied of the fact that the Illuminati is operating here in the United States. Well, of course, he's saying I'm satisfied they're operating. And then he goes on to say these are the worst type of people and they've got to be stopped. I mean, go to the Library of Congress yourself. You know, I said I was going to take calls, and now one guy's questions taking me on a 10-minute rant. Folks, I can't answer long questions because I want to get to everybody. Jonathan in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call. My question is there an alliance or a slight rift between you and the likes of Beck, Limbaugh, and Savage, who are also inspiring a lot of other red, white, and blue Americans to wake up? Because wouldn't the rift just complicate things more, or an alliance help more, because they are not people like the CNBC people who bash Republican people? That's my question. Thank you.
You know, incredibly important question. I'm going to draw a picture here. Guys, give me a camera shot for TV viewers at prisonplanet.tv. And for radio listeners, we'll later post a YouTube of this up on the site for everybody. Here's the deal. I am an alternative grassroots radio host who is not part of the left-right paradigm. I don't let myself be put in a box. Okay? Now, it would appear that I'm allies with Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Michael Savage, and others right now because I'm opposing government takeover of health care, because I'm opposing the Copenhagen Global Carbon Tax Treaty, because I'm opposing everything Obama's doing. Limbaugh, Beck, and others aren't opposing Obama on the war. They're saying he's not doing enough. That then gives him left cover when the guy's actually the biggest defense budget ever, expanding all these wars that bankrupt our country and destroy our security. In the left-right paradigm, you've got the left on one end and you've got the right on the other end. Okay? You've got the left on one end, you've got the right on the other end. And they keep everybody contained within this system. I am outside of this system. There are some truths within the left-right argument, but the main fight in the left-right argument is the Republicans and the Democrats, controlled by special interest, fighting with each other for control of the political system. And so when a Republican's in power, the government triples in size, and we launch all these wars and we lose freedom. And then when Democrats get in power, they expand the size of government and they expand the wars and we lose more freedoms. But the rhetoric is different. Now, when the Democrats were in power, they were opposed to the war, to the Patriot Act, to warrantless spying, to the police state, to torture, and to lobbyists. Now that they're in power, they're for it all and have taken it even further than Bush. Now that Republicans are out of power, they want to be with the people with rhetoric that's popular. Hey, we don't want world government. We don't want government health care. We don't want carbon taxes. But as soon as they're in power, unless we really get real leadership in there, it is only going to continue. And then the Democrats will suddenly be anti-establishment. I'm anti-establishment and a constitutionalist no matter who's in power. If George Bush violates the Constitution, I expose him. If Barack Obama violates the Constitution, I expose him. When George Bush is under the control of offshore private interest, I expose him. When Bill Clinton's in power, I exposed him. When Barack Obama's in power, I expose him. You know, if General Petraeus is in power in 3 years, I'll expose him. Or if it's Mitt Romney or whoever it is, I expose him. I'm into facts. I'm into issues. I'm into how things actually work. Okay? And I know that the government gets bigger and we lose freedoms no matter who is in there because of global private interest. Look, things have changed, though, at least. Limbaugh and Beck and Savage could say there was no New World Order, the CFR didn't want world government, there was no North American Union for years. Now, because we educated, myself and many others, mainly the listeners of this show, and Lou Dobbs, educated so many people. He deserves a lot of credit. He's a trailblazer. And look, they kicked him off CNN, bought him out, got rid of him, bought out his contract to be precise. Now, because everybody basically knows world government's real. They've heard the UN call for it. Now, Limbaugh and all them look pretty stupid never talking about it. So now we're so far down the line, so deep into this, they're now admitting it's real. And I commend them for that. But, again, I don't sit up here bashing these guys all day. Of the three you mentioned, I think Savage has always been the best. But still, he does horrible things like say, and I heard him over and over again say years ago, anyone who disagrees with the government and protests the war is aiding terrorists. You should be arrested and put in a camp. And we shouldn't have to pay for you in a camp, so it should be forced labor. Now, that's basically word for word. That is 180 degrees the opposite of liberty. Let me close shot again, guys. You know, here's liberty and freedom over here, and here's tyranny over here. When Bush was in power, Savage and others were supporting total tyranny. Now that Obama's in power, Savage gets up on his show and says the government may stage terror attacks to take our freedoms. See, now he's on the side of liberty. I haven't seen anything that truthful out of the other two. All I'm saying is, in 3 years, when you get a Republican, you're going to hate me. A lot of you Republicans now love me. Just like Democrats liked me when Bush was in. And then when Republicans get in, you're going to hate me. Liberals hate me now. Conservatives love me. Folks, you got to grow up. I mean, come on. I mean, somehow you've got to grow up and get the facts. Somehow you've got to shatter the left-right paradigm. Please. Somehow you've got to see what's happening. You got two parties fighting over power and paychecks they get from offshore interest. That's it. The government's too big, it's rotten, it's corrupt. They have declassified that our criminal government has staged terror attacks. It's in Army manuals how to stage terror attacks for officers. Folks, all I do is report the facts, okay? We're in a lot of trouble. We've been robbed. Criminal interests don't want you to get control of your government because then they'd be prosecuted. So they want to set up a tyranny so they get away with it. Let's jam in a call. I'm going to go to break and just jam in calls at the end here. David in Arkansas, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, it's an honor to finally speak with you.
Good to talk to you. What's on your mind?
Well, I've got a couple quick points I want to make.
You know what? I didn't look at the clock right. I'm going to put you on hold, come back to you. David, Paul, Kim, Chris, Seal, Billy Bob. Again, I'm trying to take your calls. Just each question brings up such complex issues. See, the problem is reality's complex. And everybody wants a Republican or a Democrat to give them quick, easy answers, silver bullets. Freedom doesn't come out of a McDonald's window with instant gratification. It takes research.